Hi everyone. Hi everyone, I'm Yon, and this channel is devoted to help you guys to master the English language. Just like you, a few years ago I was struggling with the English language. I was struggling with grammar, pronunciation, everything that you're feeling right now.
A lot of memories that I can't forget. So then I realized that living in the city is really different with the village.
Now I can pretty much speak fluently with good pronunciation. How did I do that? Well, it wasn't an easy journey though. I've gone through different trials and errors, trying different methods and techniques and everything. But now, through all of these experiences, I've gained insights on what English learners should learn and how to overcome the common problems that you guys experience in learning English. So that is why I'm dedicating this channel to help you in your journey of English language learning. And yeah, in this video, I'm gonna share 5 things that I found very effective in helping me mastering the English language. Later on, we're gonna learn each of these aspects in more detail in separate videos. But now, let's get started, shall we? The first aspect that I found very important is to tackle pronunciation from the very beginning. In English, most of the time, everything is said differently. For example, take these words, 8 and height. So the word 8, the spelling is like this, 8. However, when you add an H, it becomes height. How crazy is that? 8 to height. Just because the letter H and then now it becomes something else. So that is why it's very important for Indonesians to master the connections between the spelling and the pronunciation right from the very beginning, because you want to avoid mispronunciation at the end. So yeah, tackle pronunciation right from the very beginning. Also, pronunciation is not only about pronouncing words, it's more than that. Pronunciation is also about word stress, sentence stress, intonation, rhythm, and everything, a lot more than that. So by learning pronunciation right from the very beginning, you are basically improving the fundamental aspect of the English language. Look at me now, I can speak fluently because I tackle the fundamental aspect of the English language first. By improving your English pronunciation, you will develop a strong foundation for your English language skills, and on top of that, you will speak with confidence. That's what you want, right? You want to speak fluently and with confidence. So tackle sounds from the start of your English language journey, because in general, English and Indonesians, they both have different phonetic inventory. What I mean is that they have different sounds. Sometimes there are some sounds in the English language that do not exist in the Indonesian language. So you need to learn all of those sounds and also different patterns of stress and intonation and everything. So tackle that from the very beginning. And also that is why I want to dedicate this channel to help you guys learning all of those things, because I've mastered them. I've learned them literally by myself, so I know how to teach them to students. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to create this channel, so that I can help you guys with your pronunciation. And I want to share everything that I know and everything that has helped me along the way in improving my pronunciation. So hit the subscribe button, because it will help me to produce more content in the future. So that's the first aspect. Now let's talk about the second aspect, which is grammar. In my opinion, the English grammar has been badly abused in so many classrooms. In fact, it has been put on pedestal. It has been given too much emphasis in the English language learning, making it the most important aspect that every teacher has to teach. And even learners, they have to memorize all the rules, verb 1, verb 2, and everything. Even though it's not the most effective and practical approach of English language learning. But I agree that grammar hinges on everything. Whenever you say something, there is grammar. But that doesn't make it the be all and end all. It doesn't mean that that's the only thing that you need to learn. And for teachers, that doesn't mean that that's the only thing that you need to teach. You need to tackle grammar correctly. So I used to say that I didn't like grammar, but it wasn't like I didn't like the grammar itself. It was more like I didn't like how it was taught. And my brain never understood like subject plus verb one, this, in, ed, and everything. But now, having achieved this level, I understand, and I'm glad that I never liked grammar. But yeah, grammar is important. Everything that I say now consists of grammar and everything, tenses, you name it. But stop memorizing grammar rules. It doesn't work. It might help you to some extent, but it doesn't help you if you really want to speak fluently. Because in reality, when you speak, you don't have time to think about all the rules, let alone monitor everything. Your brain will get tired by monitoring grammar and thinking about what you're going to say simultaneously. So there's no time for both of them. So remember this. Grammar rules don't dictate how English should be spoken. They only try to describe how it is spoken. So learn grammar for grammar books, do the practices and everything, but most importantly, learn grammar from exposure, from listening and reading. When you read and listen, you'll be exposed to correct grammar and correct English sentences. The more you listen, the more correct sentences you will hear, and the more you hear all of those correct sentences, the more they will be saved and stored in your memory. So later on, just like me, I don't even need to think about all of the rules anymore. They just come out. Well, it's not going to be like you listen to English for 2 hours straight and then you're going to be fluent. No, it's not like that. It takes process and time. And there are several things that you need to do as well in order to absorb the grammar from the input. Well, I'll talk about everything that you can do in order to understand and absorb the grammar from your input. I'll talk about it in my upcoming videos, so do not forget to subscribe. It will really help me. All right, so now let's go to the aspect number 3. The aspect number 3 is actually the input itself. What I want to talk about input is that the input itself is an essential aspect of language learning. In fact, that's the only most important thing that you need to keep doing every day. Even though you don't practice your pronunciation, you don't feel like practicing pronunciation on that day, but keep listening, keep reading. Input is the key. That's how I get to this level. And I guarantee that I've been there, done it. And also, another point that I want to highlight is that I've met lots of learners who speak English, and when they speak English, they sound like, their speech sounds like the written version of the English language. They literally sound like the written version of the language, but it's the spoken one. You know what I mean? So by doing listening extensively, you will raise your awareness of the spoken version of the English language. And you don't want to be that kind of English learner who speaks English like the written version of the English language itself. So don't be that kind of person. First, learn through listening. So by listening more, you will connect the dots between the written version of the English language with the spoken version, and you'll become more aware of the English sounds, word stress, sentence stress, intonation, rhythm, and everything. So that's why listening is very, very important. However, there are things that I did to process my listening materials, including what to listen, how to listen, and then what is the sort of listening material that you need to grapple with. So it's very, very important too. But I'm going to talk about it on another video. But from now on, I'm just going to highlight the importance of listening and get as much input as possible. Then coming to reading, another way to get input. Reading is super important, not only for your English skills, but also for your mind. Reading is to your mind what exercise is to your body. Reading helps your brain. Reading rejuvenates your brain. So you get the benefits of both. You get the English language and you help your brain. You save your brain. You keep your brain healthy. So that's very, very important. So there are two things that I would highlight in terms of reading. Not only it will help your English fluency, of course, and it will also maintain the health of your brain. So do both things, listening and reading. Both of them are very, very important. However, there is a catch that I want to say. When you're a complete beginner, try to pick a book that is not too advanced for you, because you will end up pretty depressed because you can't finish the book if it's too advanced. So start with something that is just a little above your current level. So it's still quite challenging, but it's achievable. I would recommend for you guys to read graded readers. So graded readers are books that have been designed for learners of English according to several levels. So there are A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2, the highest level. So just type on Google graded readers and you'll find a lot of free books out there, and try to download a book for each level. So download a book for A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2. Try to read A1 first. If you think it's very, very easy for you, then it's not your level. Try to read A2. And then if it's quite challenging, so that's the right level for you. So try to read A2 first, and then read regularly on that level until you feel comfortable, and then that's the time for you to increase the level, go to B1 and then B2. So that's one of the ways that I found very effective for me, how I approached reading. So try to read regularly, and then once you get comfortable, go to another level, and it will improve your reading and vocab eventually. Trust the process. All right, on the future videos, we'll explore how to find the correct listening materials, and then how to work with the listening materials and also reading materials, what to read, how to learn new vocab, how to acquire those words, because sometimes you just keep forgetting them, right? So I'm gonna share tips and tricks on how to tackle all of those things. But from now on, just click the subscribe button. Sorry for being a bit annoying, always reminding you to hit that subscribe button, but it's very, very important for me. All right, the next point is noticing the language. In addition to pronunciation, grammar, and input, I want to highlight the importance of noticing the language through the input. Noticing the language involves paying attention to what you learn. So this concept comes from Andrew Huberman, who discussed this fascinating concept of how you can learn anything fast. He explains that when we pay attention to what we learn, we enhance our brain's ability to process and retain information effectively. So that's why when it comes to language learning, this concept becomes a lot more critical. In fact, I've been doing this since the very beginning of my English learning journey without even paying attention that it was based on science. It was just pretty recently that I discovered it is based on science. And little did I know that this approach aligned with the science of learning. So it is legit. You should do this. So what you need to do is that when you listen or read, try to notice the expressions, the context, the grammar, and then the words being said in that context. By deliberately noticing new sounds, words, phrases, sentence stress, word stress, everything, we strengthen our neural connections responsible for acquiring the language. And if you do this regularly, I promise you, you will be able to acquire the language. One of the examples that I remember until now, how I applied noticing the language, is when I learned linking sounds. So there is this aspect in speaking where you kind of link the sounds with the next sound. For example, so the word for example, there's, when you say it, it's not like for example, you link for example. So back then, what I did was I learned all of the theories and did a lot of practice on how to link them together to make my speech sounds natural. And what I did after that was just noticing everything, the linking sounds whenever I listen to English. Did you notice the way I link the sentence whenever I listen to English? So that's one of the examples how I applied noticing in my language learning. And in fact, noticing can be applied to learn all of the aspects of the language. It could be applied to grammar, words, linking sounds, new sounds, everything. In my upcoming videos, we're going to delve into the practical application of this concept. We're going to explore how to notice every aspect of the English language. So yeah, by actively noticing the language, you'll expand your language intuition and your language sense, which is very important if you want to be fluent in the English language. So yeah, I'm excited to explore how you can apply this on my upcoming videos and demonstrate how you can use it correctly. Now let's talk about aspect number 5, which is deliberate practice. So this concept is rooted in the groundbreaking work of psychologist Anders Ericsson, who studied how individuals become experts in various fields. And one thing that he highlights is a focused and purposeful practice called deliberate practice that leads to skill improvement. So this is the kind of practice that you want to be doing when it comes to language learning. And trust me, I've been doing this not only in language learning, but also in other parts of my life. And it works really, really well. So how to incorporate this concept? First, you identify the areas that you're lacking. Try to find the thing that you know that, this is the gap of my skill. So I want to fill in the gap. So try to find that area and then identify it. So that's the first thing that you need to do. Second, you break down that skill or whatever it is that you want to learn into specific components. You make it into manageable chunks so that you can handle them bit by bit. Third, you design a way to practice those components. So you come up with a systematic approach and a systematic design on how to practice on those components. Then after that, you practice those components. And when you practice those components, put your full attention to it. Make sure that you're focused and then try to do it correctly. Remember that it's the purposeful and systematic way that will lead to improvement. And then last but not least, you make it meaningful. All right, so let me show you how I did deliberate practice for my pronunciation. So back then I was really struggling with the word thorough. So what I realized was that at the time, it was very, very tough for my tongue to transition from the sound th to the sound r. So at that point, both of those sounds were very, very difficult. So that was me identifying my weaknesses. So that's the first step. So coming to the second step, what I did was I broke those complex sounds into components where I can practice them. What I did was I tried to find as many words as possible that consist the sound th and r. So these are some of the words that I found. And after I came up with the list, what I did was I practiced how to say them correctly, and I went first as slow as possible. So I would say think, thought, thank, Thursday, thing, growth, earth, mouth, everything. And then I practiced how to pronounce the r sound correctly. And I would recommend to go on YouTube if you have the same struggle with me. Go on YouTube and then try to look at how to pronounce each individual sound correctly. And then make sure at the beginning you practice those sounds as the native speakers pronounce it. So pay attention to the shape of the mouth, the tongue position, everything. And then coming to the r sound, rang, ring, red lorry, yellow lorry, carry, rhythm, diarrhea, rap, wrong, crash. So I did that for a couple of days until my tongue and everything felt relaxed and until I could pronounce them as fast as possible. So you need to practice those things until you feel comfortable, until you can do it without too much thinking. All right, so after you're accustomed to it, after you can pronounce the and r quite comfortably, then you try to find words that have both sounds. For example, these words and then you try to go as slow as possible again. So this is how I practice. Through, thrive, really pay attention and then really exaggerate it, because that's how you learn. That's how your brain learns. And then pay attention, that's the key. And three, throb, thread, breath, throw, 30. So you keep practicing them until you feel very, very comfortable, and do it until they become second nature to you. So now, after you've done all of those steps, so you come to the last step, which is making it meaningful. So what I mean by making it meaningful is that you try to make it into a sentence. So this is the sentence that I came up with. So I would go as slow as possible first. So it's going to be like this. After a thorough review of the instruction, I was able to thrive in my new role. And then go a bit faster. After a thorough review of the instructions, I was able to thrive in my new role. And then build up the momentum, how fast you're going bit by bit. And then if you're not comfortable enough saying it in one particular speed, then keep doing that until you're comfortable, and then say it as fast as possible. And also, you can also learn how to link some of the sounds here. Like after a thorough review of the instructions, I was able to thrive in my new role. So that's how I practice. And so that's one of the examples how you can deliberately practice anything basically in the English language learning and then make it second nature to you. So try to implement this deliberate practice in your English practice. It could be done on grammar, pronunciation, anything that you want to practice. So that's how you do it. But some of you might think, well, the process itself is too long, but I can only pronounce the TH and the R sound correctly. What's the point? Well, that's not the case, my friend. The real thing is that once you're able to pronounce those sounds, or once you're able to perform or do something that you want to learn, it will stay with you. So in the case of those sounds, next time, whenever you find a word that consists of TH and R sound, you will not think anymore and you will not struggle anymore to produce those words, such as struggle. Any words that you can think of, TH and R. So I don't find any difficulties anymore, because those skills, the mouth movement, the shape of my mouth, and the position of the tongue, they stay with me. So basically, it improves everything and it fills the gaps of my skills in pronunciation. So it's not just merely practicing those two sounds. What you're doing is that you're unlocking new neural connections in your mind in terms of pronunciation. So, and I've been doing this with grammar and everything. That's why I don't think anymore about grammar when I speak. So it comes out just naturally for me. It has become second nature to me. So do this deliberate practice and trust me, you'll see the results. And yeah, so I will help you guys with all of those things that I just mentioned. I'm so excited because yeah, I know that a lot of people have asked me to share everything that I've done. So this is one of the things that I would do. From now on, I'm going to share everything that I've come across, that I've done to improve my pronunciation, vocab, grammar, listening, reading, everything. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss any upcoming videos. And I can't wait to join you on your English language journey. Thank you for watching, and remember, practice makes progress and deliberate practice will lead you to improve. So that's all. See you. Bye-bye, everyone.